The offensive begins. Things are about to heat up. Ukrainian armored vehicles are advancing toward enemy positions. A Bradley infantry fighting vehicle releases infrared flares to defend against heat-seeking missiles. At the same time, the crew opens suppressive fire on potential resistance points, a standard tactic to clear the route. As Ukrainian forces approach the enemy fortification, Russian soldiers begin to retreat. Some try to escape on motorcycles. Evidently, they didn't expect the attack. Judging by their behavior, many are experiencing combat for the first time. The Bradley targets a suspected enemy position and fires a TOW anti-tank missile. One of the missiles explodes near the retreat route. The enemy is in a panic. A Russian soldier is wounded. Fighters abandon their motorcycles and retreat on foot. The Ukrainian side responds. A strike drone is launched. One of the grenades explodes just a few meters from the fleeing soldier. Despite shrapnel wounds, he keeps moving, apparently running on adrenaline, using his last strength. He tries to get back to his motorcycle to escape, but, of course, he's already been spotted by the drone operator. The drone closes in and strikes. Explosion! A shockwave hits the soldier. He loses strength but keeps moving. Soon, however, he falls. The Bradley keeps pushing forward, covering the path for the Ukrainian infantry deployment. While the ground rumbled under the attacks, Ukrainian armored vehicles fanned out in sync, like hunting dogs surrounding their prey. Suppressive fire is being laid down from an APC. It's the M2 Browning machine gun in action. The soldiers inside prepare to dismount, checking gear, coordinating, exchanging quick words. At the other end of the field, Russians launch a drone in panic. They're losing contact with forward positions. Everything is happening too fast. Ukrainians maneuver in zigzags, making it difficult for the enemy to get a target lock. The enemy calls for artillery support. Su-25 aircraft units fly at extremely low altitudes to avoid detection by Ukrainian air defenses. Meanwhile, Russian MLRS crews prepare a salvo against Ukrainian positions. Due to a lack of coordination between the Air Force and artillery, the Su-25 nearly flies into their own barrage. It was a close call. The pilot could have been killed by friendly fire. Then, the barrage begins. Unguided aerial rockets and MLRS rounds are launched. This is the first major combined strike on the area where Ukrainian forces are advancing. Under the cover of armor, Ukrainian infantry dismounts and begins advancing toward enemy positions. Every movement is precise. They know time is limited. They cover each other and secure assigned sectors. But the Russians don't want to surrender without a fight. They cling to the remaining cover, firing blindly and frantically, as if trying to drive off not death, but shame. And suddenly, a new threat looms. A Russian IFV emerges from behind a line of bushes and immediately opens fire. Heavy rounds, grinding metal, roaring diesel. It seems to be attempting a breakthrough to stop the advance. The response is up to the Ukrainians. A Ukrainian anti-tank operator fires a rocket-propelled grenade. The first round immobilizes the IFV. A few seconds, and the second shot. The armor is torn open like a tin can. What a hit. Everyone inside is dead. No chance of survival. The vehicle is neutralized. Resistance on the right flank weakens. Only sporadic single shots remain. Ukrainian forces seize the fortification. The position is taken. Everything falls silent. Is the battle over? No. After losing the stronghold, Russian forces switch to artillery strikes. They shift to a new tactic, hitting the captured position with everything they've got. These are 120mm shells, a heavy gun, a beast on tracks, fires up to 10 rounds per minute. High explosive fragmentation rounds are used, with a kill radius of up to 90 meters, effective against even fortified positions. The trenches tremble, the earth trembles, the air trembles. The Ukrainians lie low. After several salvos, Russian artillery changes position to avoid a potential counterstrike. The Ukrainian side launches an FPV drone for counter-battery reconnaissance. There it is, the target. The drone spots the artillery unit on the move. The Russian commander, sensing the end, jumps out while still moving. It saves his life. But the drone's shaped charge catches up to the vehicle. A moment, and everything is gone. It's destroyed. Meanwhile, who's that? Russian Su-25 strike aircraft, previously involved in the attack. They return at extremely low altitude, releasing flares, hoping to fool Ukrainian air defenses, but it's not that easy. The Ukrainians activate anti-air missile systems. Target acquired, lock on, launch. The Su-25 goes into a spin. The machine goes blind, stops responding. The pilot loses consciousness. Ejecting is impossible. A fiery whirlwind. The end. But war never pauses. Russian radars detect the missile launch point almost instantly. They transmit the coordinates to a Lancet, a loitering drone with one purpose: revenge. The Ukrainian air defense crew has no time. The Lancet climbs into the sky. Impact. Boom. Key systems destroyed. The ammo didn't explode, and that's a miracle. The crew is alive, but in war, miracles come at a high price. When the rumble in the sky dies down for a moment, the most dangerous thing begins: silence. Anything could be hiding behind that silence. After suppressing enemy firing positions, Ukrainian units begin clearing the area. The objective: to sweep every trench, every burrow, every basement corner where death could be hiding. But no one enters those holes with kind words. Grenades go in first. Boom! Dust, crackling, impact, bang, and again. Only then, a step forward. First metal, then man. One of the soldiers takes the lead. Everyone has their own share of courage, but this one had more than his share. Why didn't he pull back? Why didn't he double check? Did he know he was stepping toward death, or was it just a mistake? We'll never know. The group moves on. Grenades keep flying into suspicious spots before anyone enters. Each explosion is followed by a manual sweep. Seems like it's over. Now they collect trophies, stripping patches and insignias from the bodies of dead occupiers. It's a ritual, a military tradition. That's how it's always been, and how it will always be. The position is cleared. The Ukrainians set up a circular defense and prepare for a possible counterattack. While the trenches were being cleared, while grenades tore the earth and rifles rattled into the dark, one of the key players in this operation was still moving: Bradley, the steel decoy. It wasn't just driving, it was playing a role, deliberately staying in the open, drawing fire and attention from Russian FPV drone operators. And of course, it worked. One by one, kamikaze drones flew toward Bradley. Impact, another hit, and nothing. Bradley's armor withstood even anti-tank munitions. The third drone used a different tactic. It targeted the optics, aiming to blind the vehicle and make it vulnerable to follow-up artillery strikes. But the Bradley's gunner spotted the incoming drone and opened fire. Incredible! A direct hit, like a brilliant football goal. The drone was shot down mid-air. Looks like the Russians are panicking. They're trying to hit the Bradley with artillery. Where's your accuracy, occupiers? Not a single shell hits. Bradley stays on the move. It speeds forward, toward the village where Russian troops are hiding. Bradley enters the settlement held by Russian forces. Immediately, it opens fire on buildings where enemy fighters might be hiding. The main goal? Suppress potential firing points before the infantry dismounts. Within seconds, Russian artillery falls silent. They're afraid of hitting their own. The Ukrainians sense this and seize the opportunity. Dismount right in the center of the village. The enemy didn't have time to dig in. What? Yes, seriously, there's no defense. Just a dozen confused soldiers. Ukrainian troops clear the houses one by one, moving from building to building. Precise, coordinated. Some provide cover, some go in first, some toss grenades into basements, cracks, any movement behind curtains. One house, second, fifth, gunfire, smoke. A Russian soldier runs out, burned, terrified, but alive. He got lucky, the others not so much. In one sector, almost a scene from a movie, A Ukrainian soldier is about to throw a grenade when suddenly an enemy grenade lands at his feet. Everything hinges on a split second. Most would freeze, but not him. He throws his own and, almost without winding up, throws the enemy's grenade back. What aim! Both explosions happen on the enemy's side. After the clearing, some soldiers pick up enemy weapons, ammo, and gear. Their coordinated actions allow them to move forward without losses. Control over the village is secured. But even if you just cleared a village, even if it feels like everything is under control, war is always one step closer than you think. From the east, an enemy APC bursts in. It drops off reinforcements, about 10 soldiers. They quickly dismount and take up positions, preparing for combat. The APC turns around to bring in the next group, but it becomes a target for Ukrainian drone operators. A drone with an anti-tank charge locks onto the vehicle. Its defenses fail the test. That anti-drone net? Just for show, not armor. Impact. Instant death for the vehicle. A burst of flames, and a metal corpse remains on the road. No reinforcements. At the same time, Bradley keeps moving. It charges straight into the enemy's landing zone. The Russians, out in the open, no cover. What more can be said? Bradley, light it up. Ukrainians open fire with the 25mm cannon, eliminating the soldiers one by one. Ukrainian drones are monitoring the situation from the air. Confirmation: the enemy unit is fully destroyed. Bradley's task is complete. It drew enemy attention and enabled the capture of key positions. The Ukrainian infantry boards the vehicle again. An organized withdrawal begins. They provide covering fire toward possible directions from which new enemy forces might approach. Oh, and who's that? A second group of Russian soldiers? The ones who didn't dismount before the APC was destroyed. They came under fire from Bradley as well. The gunner spots movement. The commander instantly activates thermal countermeasures to guard against potential missile threats. The final volley strikes the enemy. The group is wiped out. But every vehicle, even one like the Bradley, has its limits. When it seems that all objectives have been achieved, the final player enters the scene. An enemy ATGM. The Bradley comes under attack from an anti-tank unit operating from the flank, using a buggy and laser guidance. The first missile hits the vehicle but causes no serious damage. The Bradley keeps moving. The second missile is aimed directly at the engine compartment. After impact, the vehicle slows down and smoke begins to rise. The soldiers inside prepare to evacuate, but the hydraulic mechanism of the rear ramp jams. The situation is critical. There's little time to evacuate, and artillery fire has already begun. The troops force open the top hatch and climb out through it. And the shelling begins. One of the shells strikes the Bradley. The vehicle is completely disabled. Despite the rapid evacuation, part of the crew is killed. The remaining soldiers run toward a forested area. They cover about 6 kilometers through the gray zone, under the constant threat of artillery fire. Once they reach a safe area, the soldiers radio for evacuation transport. They remain silent, exhausted, shaken by the losses. Lost friends, the burnt Bradley, and one feeling: we didn't retreat. We didn't give up, because this is our land. We are home. Russian soldiers, emboldened by the destruction of the Bradley, launch a strike drone. Grenades fall straight into the scorched hatches, finishing off what remains of the vehicle. The footage is quickly posted on propaganda channels with captions about how American equipment turns into scrap metal. However, the real events tell a different story. The Bradley crew accomplished their mission. They drew enemy fire, withstood the attack, secured the village's capture, and enabled the infantry's evacuation. The vehicle was not a useless loss. It became a key element of the entire operation. Russian soldiers, walking along streets previously held by Ukrainian forces, record video of the scene, but no longer with mockery, rather with an acknowledgement of the enemy's effectiveness and resilience. One video has no commentary. just footage of the burned-out vehicle and traces of battle. This is not a display of victory, but a recording of a fact. The enemy fought to the end. Thus ends one of the episodes, with losses, a completed mission, and a destroyed vehicle. But the final result of the operation favors the advancing side.